This week on Full Credit to the Noise, brought to you by Parcel Protect. It's Christmas Eve and we preview the Bathurst 1000. It's gloves off for Oscar Piastri. And SVG shows them how to turn right and left once again. Welcome to Full Credit to the Noise. Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Full Credit to the Noise. You can find this podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at FCTTN Podcast. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, still hanging in there, and Facebook at former_legend. You can find the bloke across me on Twitter at AVL_motorsport. He's on Instagram at AVL.motorsport. He's the man who this week was all hands when he was seen consoling Nicole Kidman after her breakup with Indian country singer Keith Turban. He has held a candlelight vigil in support of the newly jailed P. Diddy, and tonight he's wearing a Teddy Swims belly tap. Welcome to Speak Cafe's Andrew Van Leeuwen.
Hello, former. How do you reckon old Keith's going to go on the dating market? Do you reckon? Has he got half a hope out there? I reckon he might be. Happy Bathurst week, by the way.
Oh,
I know you're one that would
happy
celebrate.
Bathurst. Yes.
I'm actually here. I've actually just arrived about half an hour before we started this recording. I have arrived at Mount Panorama. As anyone watching the video version of this will be able to see, not my usual surroundings. I'm here. I'm at Bathurst. When are you gracing us with your presence, my friend?
Could be Wednesday evening or Thursday morning, just depending. I've got some stuff to talk to you about there. Now, listen, I know this probably sounds like BS, but the bloody Chimera's broken down again, AVL. And I could be in doubt. I'm a 50-50 unless I can get a starter motor for a JB Chimera. And I mean, that's not the easiest thing to find, let's be honest. Do you reckon there's any chance our very good friends at Ford might be able to do something at this late notice? I understand it's very late to get me up to the mountain. I mean, I'll take anything. An old Meteor, a Taurus. Remember the old Taurus, the cars that could go backwards and forwards. You weren't sure which way was which. A convertible Capri. How good would I look in a convertible Capri, just quietly?
You would. You'd want that. What was it? There was the XR2 was a little turbo one of those.
I think there was a Carla Zempati version of it or something. Some lady had a version of it too. But yeah, could you make some calls, pull some strings? Is there anyone you can ring at late notice?
I did pick up my dark blue F-150 from Ford today, and I do. This is actually not like an ad or a plug. I just love those. I love driving those things.
Feels great. Like it, but anyway.
But I know. But there was Stefan is opening a beer right in front of the microphone. Microwave. Yes, there was a Dark Horse Mustang parked there, which I believe may be up for grabs. So I'll give Ben and Cam at Ford a call in the morning, and we'll see what we can do for you, mate.
Look, something, anything. Like I said, I'd take a Chimera at the moment. Well, a Chimera. I'd take a Taurus at the moment.
You can't take the Chimera. It's Bathurst.
If I get the Dark Horse, keep it on the download from Ford. But I've booked in a couple of Uber Eats shifts when I'm up in Bathurst. So
it's good. It's good. Like it's a profitable time of year to be doing that. So that's actually smart thinking.
I'm trying to make the trip cost neutral, if you know what I mean. So if I can get a couple of deliveries
tikka masala delivered in a Dark Horse Mustang.
How does that come out of leather in case there's a spillage at any stage? That might be. I might just keep driving if that happens. Let's talk about. We'll go to the shift cut because it's all things F1 right now. Yeah, let's do that.
4, 3, 1.
Yes, the Formula One circus returned to Singapore, and I'm going to break it down in segments for you, AVL. FP2, George binned it. The hall monitor straight into a wall, which is not the first time he's done that at Singapore. Liam Lawson, that Kiwi guy, I'm pretty sure he's a Kiwi. If you're listening, he's a Kiwi guy from New Zealand. He binned it as well. Charles Leclerc applied for honorary Australian citizenship by colliding with Lando in pit lane. And this is what we heard on the commentary team when all that happened. Put out your tissues for Crofty and Kravitz.
So, oh dear, that was...
Well, why was that Ferrari released there? I'm sorry, who has released that Ferrari straight into the path of the McLaren?
Oh, and Lando even tried to speed up, didn't he? To sort of get out of the way. You could see what was happening.
I just crashed, he just drove straight into him.
And I know sometimes, Ant Jensen, we say, well, the driver can't see what's going on. Charles Leclerc saw that Lando Norris was there.
Well, we don't know that. We need to see.
Straight ahead of him.
We need to see Charles on board. You are really cocooning inside.
He wouldn't have driven into him if he knew he was there.
Ted, down to you.
So they should feel guilty about it, because that was, clearly when the mechanic gives the driver the signal to go.
And out of all of that, Oscar was fastest in FP2. Now, FP3 the next day, after his team rebuilt his car, Liam Lawson went out and done 1.5 laps before he wiped the corner off it and then cried, I don't know what happened. I'll tell you what happened. You just auditioned for IndyCar. Unfortunately for Liam, 2025 teams have things like throttle traces and steering wheel analysis, AVL. They'll tell you what happened, even if you're not sure. So... Max was fastest in FP3. Oscar scrambled late to get a lap in to pop into second, and Lando was fifth. So then we went to Q1. A couple of big shocks out of Q1. Lance Stroll, that's right, he missed leaving Q1. And the second coming of Senna, Franco Colapinto, was too slow to get out of Q1 into Q2 as well. Q2, Yuki Tsunoda put in an absolute stonking lap to grab 15th, showing that Baku form was absolute bullshit. Liam Lawson finished one spot in front of him, but brought the car home back to pits on all 4 of its own wheels to a standing ovation from his team. That was good. Then the 2 Williams also slid out, but they were also disqualified later on from qualifying altogether after rear wing elements on both their cars exceeded the allowed limits. So we went to Q3. George Russell secured his 7th career pole with, I got to be honest, 2 of the absolute white-hot laps around Singapore. Max was second. Oscar grabbed third while Lando was 5th. Verstappen looked likely to better Russell's time on his final lap, but he's affected by the second McLaren of Lando Norris and some dirty air, with Max expressing his frustration over the team radio. He said, "Typical Lando, go back to kicking flowers in Vogue, you simp." Actually, I might have said that, not Max. I think he said something along the lines of, "That's noted, it will be remembered as well." Is there anything you want to cover off on before we get to the race?
I would imagine you need a break from talking. Anyway, no, let's go. Let's just go to the race, because obviously that's the that is the main event.
Well, we'll cover off on the results. George Russell clinched victory and absolutely deserved his win. Lights to flag, absolute domination of the Singapore Grand Prix. McLaren grabbed a second Formula One World Constructors Championship with their third from, that's right, Lando. Max Verstappen battled a rough-going Red Bull to get second. But the big talking point was how Lando Norris, who cluttered into Max and then Oscar in the second corner of the race, somehow came out to grab third. Oscar was fourth. And also this week's victim of the slow McLaren pit stop, which seems to plague the team pretty regularly. After the incident on turn 2, Oscar was heard to ask the team if that was cool to crash into him, and they said they'd got no problems with it. Oscar was pretty angry about the situation, as Zach Brown was congratulating him at the end of the race for assisting in winning the Constructors' title. Oscar can be seen unplugging his radio mid-sentence. Righto, what did you make of turn 2?
I fundamentally... So here's the thing. I don't think Lando did anything outrageously wrong. I actually don't think that's the issue. The issue is that McLaren, and this is exactly what we talked about after Monza, they have just tied themselves in knots with trying to control uncontrollable things in the name of fairness, and created a situation where Oscar has the right to be upset about it, even if, to be honest, there was a gap there. And I actually don't disagree with what Lando said. Like, if I don't drive into that gap, what am I doing? And he did hit 2 cars, mind you, so he didn't exactly execute it very well. But
all of a sudden
he still,
center.
But he still did it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he did. But he did get. I don't think it was like anything outrageously crazy that he did. But obviously, Oscar has the right to say, "Well, hang on a minute. Like, for all this stuff that we've done, this guy's now driving into me, and you're not going to do anything about that." The team shouldn't do anything about it, in exactly the same way they shouldn't have done anything about it in Monza.
Correct.
Like it's that's where it comes. So I think the team did the right thing, except they've just done the wrong thing on so many occasions, trying to create this complete utopia of fairness that just can't exist. So it's really just I don't think Oscar's gripe was unfair, given the context of how the season has played out and the things that the team have done and the things that the team have meddled in. I think if you take all that out, then you go, well, hang on a minute, mate. Like, you didn't get a great start and your teammate shoved it down there and, he did you a bit of a dirty, but like, come on. But it's when it's wrapped with everything else that's happened, like, I don't blame Oscar for feeling hard done by in that scenario because, again, and he might have, under the understanding that, well, my teammate's not going to he's not going to be that
Slap
aggressive
into
with me
me.
because we're not allowed to do this. Maybe he's leaving more room than he would if it was someone else or anything like that. If that was another driver from another team, again, you go, okay, well, yeah, he's done him a bit of a dirty and he's sort of hip and shouldered him a bit, but I don't think the move is anything, again, outrageously terrible. But it's just that team has just really made life difficult on itself for no real reason. And yeah, they win a world championship and this is what people are talking about. And it just leaves it's starting to feel like and for all the fairness and this and that, it's got this bitter taste to it now.
100%.
Or at least aftertaste to it, which is just the complete opposite of what they're really going for, which is that everyone should be happy because they're trying to do the impossible.
Yep. I am probably going to surprise some people here. I think the move was on, and I have no dramas in the move itself. Much like yourself, mate, I think you've worded it very well. The problem is everything that's happened before this has put it
Correct.
all into an absolute jeopardy. And it's almost now, I'm thinking, this thing about we want to be fair and we want to manipulate results so that everyone gets a medal and we right all the wrongs and everything else. It's almost smacks of now arrogance that they think they can do that. And now that other cars are showing speed, doing that will come at their detriment. And the problem is that I think Oscar has got more points on the board for trying to do the right thing than Lando has for this year. And I know that probably sounds like an Aussie talking about an Aussie driver against a Pommy driver. But ultimately, I do. I feel like he's given him toes. He's pulled over to let him through because he got a rough pit stop. He's done a number of things where I just don't think it's been returned. And I said this at Monza. When will it be returned back to Oscar? And I can't see how it will be now. It can't be. If they ask Lando to do anything now, Lando's going to tell him to go jump. They asked him, would he let Oscar have the first pit stop, and he denied that. So that's where his head's at. And to be honest with you, the first thing I thought of when I heard Oscar on the radio saying, "Are we cool with that?" And my first thought was, Oscar, you're part of this is you. You've allowed this to happen in itself. If you had I reckon 80% to 90% of the field had have said to them at Monza, tell Lando to go jump. Tell Lando to go jump for the toe. Tell Lando to go jump for the pit stop. We would not be in this situation. It's fair game play on. And in fact, I would have thought if Oscar had less of a worry or less concern about this fair play and we'll right the wrongs and everything else, Oscar should have just binned both of them. It's cost neutral and we gets out and we go, oh, well, he crashed into me, I crashed into him. That's where we're at.
You'd be giving a lot of points that Max Verstappen would be going, hang on,
well,
here we go. It is actually interesting. And I think that if the car does come off the boil a little bit and it becomes, it's suddenly in the mix and, the Mercedes at the right track are doing well, you'd expect Mercedes in Las Vegas to do well, and the Red Bull is a factor, and this was a high downforce circuit, so the fact that Red Bull was reasonably quick, not quick enough to win the race, but not far off it, is a good sign for them, because that's been their weakness. It's actually not a terrible thing for Oscar, because obviously the biggest points gap is first to second. So, the way Lando runs him down is by winning races and Oscar coming second if the car is dominant. So it actually puts risk there, because you have to be the best McLaren, whereas, when the further down the order you go, the smaller the gaps come between the points, and it makes it harder. If they're fighting over fourths and fifths, it actually makes it harder for Lando to catch up. And I guess on the whole, I do agree that there's been more cases where the team has asked Oscar to compromise his race in this interest of fairness, but Oscar also didn't get the motor that was installed correctly and shed all of its oil out and stopped working. And he's still in a very, very good position to win the world championship. So
he is.
I think when we reflect that if he gets through the season without having an engine failure, then I think he probably wins the championship without another DNF. And then we sit back and go, well, it'll be hard to argue that he was unlucky as well, because he wasn't the one left sitting in the sand dunes in Holland.
If we get to Abu Dhabi, and somehow it's down to a 3-point race or something, and Lando beats Oscar home and gets the title, remind me to talk about Monza once more, because this is where it all started. This is where it started, mate.
It'll come up. It'll come up plenty. And it's not, and there have been, you know, I mean, after Monza last year, when Oscar sort of mugged Lando on the first lap, they had a whole conversation about how we go racing and
About
what was, you know.
Didn't clutter into him. They're still
No,
racing.
exactly. But that prompted a conversation, and you know, there are instances like in Australia this year when Oscar was quicker and he was told not to try and pass Lando because, you know, I think it was when the rain was coming or there was traffic or whatever, and he was told like just back off for a second and just let us deal with this lap traffic. These are little bits and pieces that all kind of, they all play in to the wider context of this team just completely overcomplicating this whole scenario and creating what is clearly becoming an uncomfortable environment for both of its drivers. And again, it's overshadowed winning a world championship. So like that's what you've actually created.
Yeah. Mate, I'm telling you now, they've been they've boxed so smart with this that they're going to box themselves to death. You know, and what's the difference now? Sorry, I should have known this before I asked. What's the difference between Max now and Oscar? What's the points difference come back to?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's still a long way. They'd need to.
Of course, it's a long way. I think every race, from what I read today, the difference for Max to win the title to Oscar must be 10 points or more for every race. And for Lando to win it is 3 points or more. And I just think when I heard Oscar say straight away, we cool with that, I just felt like my initial reaction was, Oscar, of course they're cool with that. Don't expect them to fix this. This is not going to be fixed. And if
I don't think they should have, but as well. Like,
no,
I actually don't think they should have.
That was more my concern is where his mindset is. Can you fix this for me?
Yeah.
You know, kind of like Silverstone in a bit. I felt a little bit uncomfortable when he said, can you fix this for me? If you think it's unfair, fix this for me. My thing is get that out of your head. And the problem is that driving in that place, you start getting that in your head because you've had to do it a couple of times yourself.
That's exactly right. And that's why I don't blame Oscar for feeling aggrieved, even though I don't think Lando actually really did much wrong.
No. What about him not getting a meatball flag despite the very big similarities between the Haas a couple of years ago with the hanging out wing, and they meatballed him straight away, and yet he did the whole race with pretty much the same look?
Well, their judgment of fact. And I basically, and like you wouldn't want to see that as well. Like that car wasn't too damaged.
Yeah, I was cool with it. I'll tell you what's overrated in the world is end plates. What do they do? Nothing from what I can tell.
Well, was it Leclerc in China where he had the same, like, clattered half? I think him and Hamilton actually ran into each other and it clattered half his wing off, and it was the best he went all season. He was going like the clappers at one point.
Car's lighter, and it seems to be no different. All right, that's enough of that. I mean, I can talk about it. Again, Formula One has just been absolutely fascinating this year. And
so good. It's blockbuster. And it just sets up another, like, for all as frustrating it is, as it is for Aussie F1 fans with the fact that you just want it to go smoothly for Oscar. It's like, it's box office stuff. It's unreal.
It's amazing. Yep. All right, let's talk about Bathurst because that's supposed to be our biggest week of the year. And to be honest with you, I felt a little bit flat coming into this year. I don't know why. I just feel like it's not where it should be, but I'm hoping that once I get there, it'll be all guns a-blazing. There's some special liveries coming up. BJR released one today for Bryce Forward. Super Cheap and Lowndes are releasing one, I think, tomorrow morning. I'm tipping it's red and yellow. There's a one-off livery for the one-off livery kings for Penrite and Grove, who just do something special every year. And there's a return of the Erebus Chico car. Do you remember the Chico car that Wayne Wakefield drove, the Commodore VS?
Not off the top of my head.
If at the time there was a model named Sarah Jane and she was the Chico Roll spokesperson, and she was a 10. I feel like they should put Barry in the same pose as Sarah Jane was in that, but put that on the new the Camaro for this year. What are your thoughts? Do you reckon you can get that to happen?
I'll leave you to float that with him if you like when you get up.
I'll have a chat. We'll see how we go. Don't like my chances. All right. The Bathurst television coverage will be a dual broadcast. On 7, it'll be Mark Beretta and Mel McLaughlin anchoring the telecast. Providing their views from pit lane will be BR2 driver Jack Perkins, Chris Stubbs, and making his debut, Andrew Van Leeuwen. He'll walk amongst the great unwashed across the top of the mountain. On Fox Sports, as usual, the Supercars team of Neil Crompton, Mark Scaife, Mark Larkham, Chad Nayland, and Rhianna Crean will call all the live action, along with new guest Stefan Bartholomew. So it's a real you versus Stefan sort of thing. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes.
I'm glad I'm on free to air. That's the That's the big time. But I do think this is sort of without warning for me, but I do think we might need to get you up the top of the mountain at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe with a camera. Maybe we'll go for a bit of a cruise around and chat with some people. So for any listeners that are out there, keep an eye out over the weekend because I think this is a thing that's going to happen. Again, which I haven't told you about, but was discussed in the drive out here with our social media crew.
Should I bring my live show costume that I showed you?
Please bring your live show costume. Yes. And we will see if people can spot the great former legend.
You can't miss me in that thing. Jesus Christ.
You're pretty hard to miss at the absolute best of times, let alone dressed up like that. So that'll be fun.
A record-breaking 57 entries have been lodged for the 2026 Bathurst 6-hour on the first day they opened. 57 entries, ABL. We joke about this race, but it's probably our biggest chance of being on that grid, is that race there. According to the event, there were 57 entries in the first 6 hours, well clear of the benchmark of 36 that set last year's event light. The total entry for 2025 ended up at 85, 72 of which made the capacity field. For all jokes aside, and it's a BMW-a-thon, let's be honest, that's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's obviously just it's a huge event. It's the biggest enduro in terms of those car numbers. And you're right about it being a BMW-a-thon, I think is the term used. But Brody Kostecki will have his Alfa Romeo there next year. That is certainly the plan. So that will be fun to see. It'd be great to see something that's not a BMW win that race. I do. Yeah. You mentioned us being in the grid. I do keep waiting for my call up in the Speed Cafe BMW.
Surely.
Although I did drive it at Queensland Raceway once, and it turns out the brakes aren't quite as robust as the Formula Ford, and you can chew through a set of rotors pretty fast. So, and they do catch fire. So I haven't had a call back to drive that car since then from the boss and car owner, Rob Gooley. So, I think someone else might.
Probably your socials featuring the number of crashes you've had after the checkered flag haven't helped the matter along the way either. So that might be something to think
as
about.
long as you've won, it doesn't matter if you've been it on the cool-down lap, I suppose.
Yeah. Let's talk about
It's the best time to bin it. Better than binning it during the race. That's the perfect time to have a show.
You can be in Sydney at the airport by 2 o'clock if you've been it nice and early. The MotoGP, we'll talk about the sprint race on Saturday. Aprilia's Marco Bezzecchi went from pole to 8th to a win in the sprint race. Meanwhile, last week's double winner, Francesco Bagnaia, was at a loss to explain an embarrassing performance after finishing last in the sprint race. He said it's not a technical problem, it's something out of my control. A little earlier, though, he spoke to DAZN about the issue and said, what happened to me is unacceptable. It was a technical problem. To this, when they said it was a technical problem, he said, yeah, in technical terms, it was a technical problem. So my understanding is that Bagnaia loves the last year's bike, and last week when he won, supposedly it was a re-stickered 24 bike and not the 25 bike. He went back on the 25 bike this weekend and was positioned nowhere. So that's basically the rumour mill around that. In the GP, Gresini rookie Fermin Aldeguer claimed his maiden MotoGP victory, 150 to 1 AVL, in the Indonesian Grand Prix after pole sitter Marco Bezzecchi took out Marc Marquez and broke his shoulder on the opening lap. Two-time MotoGP champion Francesco Bagnaia crashed out of the race at the final corner on lap 7, so it was a double retirement for the factory Ducati team. Yeah, I think if you were Marc Marquez, maybe have the rest of the year off with a broken shoulder. Surely you're not going to come back and race 2 or 3 more times the rest of the year.
What a massive kick in the guts for anyone trying to promote a Grand Prix between now and the end of the season, though. The most amazing story, one of the most amazing stories in the history of MotoGP, and there's a bunch of races that won't get to have Marc Marquez on the grid if he doesn't come back. Mind you, those blokes are absolutely mental. Oh. So there's every chance that for absolutely no reason he'll just be like, no, wire it up and just plant me on the bike and I'll give it a go. So you never know.
He did do that a couple of years ago.
Rushing back from injuries has been an issue for him, right? So it's something that you would hope some lessons have been learned along the way. Yeah,
that's what I was about to say. He did it a couple of years ago and it did not work out well. I just think you've won the title. Go and have a rest and get ready for 2026. Kiwis and Aussies overseas. NASCAR SVG qualified second for the Trump Peace Tax 250 at the Charlotte Roval. In the race, he absolutely dominated and now has made NASCAR history, becoming the first driver to win 5 road course races in a Cup Series season, which is extraordinary when you think about it. In the Speedway, Aussie team of Jack Holder, Brady Kurtz and Jason Doyle took out the FIM Speedway of Nations in Poland. The win qualifies Australia for the 2026 FIM Speedway World Cup final next year, obviously. And in motocross, Hunter Lawrence led Team Australia to a second consecutive victory at the 2025 Motocross of Nations. It's an incredible achievement for the Aussie trio of Hunter, his brother Jet and Kyle Webster. Congratulations to all. Things are looking good on two wheels for Australia, just maybe not up the top end of MotoGP.
Full credit to the noise.
If you're out there forklifting, bobcatting, jackhammering, backhoeing, trenching, digging, drilling and persuading, you want to know that if anyone is thieving your stuff, that your insurance company will be timely with approving. So get on to Truck Assist, the insurance to keep on earning, with cover for the machines you're hauling and your work truck too. Go to truckassist.com.au, then get back to all that persuading. Limits and exclusions apply. Consider the PDS and TMD on the Truck Assist website.
This is one of the greatest challenges in motorsport, and it offers the sweetest of rewards.
All right, I thought I would catch up with someone who was about to set off to head to Bathurst and probably do a couple of laps on the weekend as well, all going well. You can find him on Instagram at Tony D'Alberto. He's partnering Will Davison in the Shell DJR number 17 Mustang. Mate, it's Christmas week. How have preparations been leading up to this week's event?
Mate, definitely is Christmas week. I look forward to this week for the whole year. It's like our grand final. Yeah, a lot of preparation. Obviously, the bend didn't really go to plan for us, so we've gone back to the drawing board and lots of changes, as everyone knows. So we're leaving no stone unturned for Bathurst, and we're going there guns blazing. So looking forward to it.
This will be the only serious question I'll ask you. But
yeah, that's right.
Will is asked to go back to the old chassis, which he's done, and it's different to Brody's. Does that mean anything in terms of setup or data sharing or anything like that?
No, not at all. No, there's just a little bit of a question mark in everyone's head regarding the chassis we were using. There's probably not a lot of evidence there, but it was just a question mark there. So we thought, well, let's put our best foot forward and see if there is anything there, and we'll just use the old chassis that Will was comfortable with. And that was really the only reason for the chassis swap. So just eliminates that really from your head as a question mark.
You were telling me before we started recording that the team have asked you to qualify the car. How are you feeling about that?
No, I did not. Definitely not.
Mate, before we go into some hairy questions, you nearly went through the back end of the Tickford wildcard at the bend as they left pit lane. Did you have to throw those jocks away, or were they salvageable?
I did to myself. I really did. Because I saw the car coming out of pit lane. I was like, oh, damn, this lap's going to be buggered again. And every lap there seems to be another car coming out of pit lane. And of course, it's morning warm-up and I'm trying to set the purples. I went to the inside, and then what happened was I actually spoke to Lockie after what that happened, and he said, they told me a DJR car was coming, and I saw Todd go past, who was ahead of me, and he didn't even realise there was another one close by. So it took him by surprise, and he said, oh yeah, slab after that one. But there's some choice words when that happened. I did shit myself.
I want to ask you about last night's Grand Prix at the end, but let's go into some hairy questions. I've got 10 questions. They're probably nothing you've been asked before in any sort of interview. So let's start with this one. If you had $2,000, how would you double it in 24 hours?
I've had a good think about this question, and you can relate to this. Yeah. I was thinking I could buy a clapped out Chimera.
There's no such thing.
for $2,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And do a dodgy track day.
Yeah.
Charge people $50 a ride. Like, ride of their life. $4,000 in the bank, no dramas, and probably a blown head gasket too, I reckon.
You'd probably want a track without any uphill section from experience. Otherwise, you'd spend a lot of time adjusting the radio and winding the window down and have a look outside. Which supercar driver is most likely to click like on his own Instagram post?
Yeah, this one as well I've thought about. And there was a few contenders, but I'm going to put James Courtney at the front here. And I reckon he'd probably put a couple of flame emojis there too.
And then realise he hasn't used his burner account. He's just used his own. if there's 3 Jordans from Australian motor racing and they're about to start a boy band, Jordan Love, Jordan Boys, and Jordan Cox, what would the band be called?
Yeah, there's 2 of those Jordans I actually really like. There's one that I don't. I reckon you can probably guess which one.
It's not hard.
So I'm going to go with Cox Love Boys.
Oh, really? I would have just gone the Rolf Harris tribute band, but fair enough. Mate, would you right now cut off your thumb for a Bathurst 1000 win?
Yes, that's very easy.
What about...
Because I can still drive with 9 fingers and I can still hold the trophy.
What about, would you cut off little Tony for a Bathurst 1000 win?
That doesn't get much use anyway, so... but no, definitely a thumb.
If you wake up to see on the front page of the paper that a supercar driver has been arrested, who is it and why were they arrested?
That one for me is Chaz Mossett.
Ooh.
Yep. Because I can just see him like stealing a shopping trolley or something and going down Conrod full noise with his hat backwards and sunglasses on.
Fair enough. So
this would be on the Monday morning, of course.
Yeah. Maybe Sunday Arby, who knows? Would you want to know the time and date that you're going to die?
Probably not, no.
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
That's a tough question.
The last week would be unbelievable. If you're going to work in the adult film industry, what would your stage name be?
There's a couple here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to rely on you to give me some feedback here.
Yeah, of course.
I've got Max Throttle.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Or Dan Ricciardo.
Oh, Rick Hard. Strong
Got to
H.
emphasise the hard.
Very clever. I like how much effort you've put into this.
I've put in a bit of thought to this.
Yeah. I would have just thought Quick Tony would have been the name of choice. But would you rather read your partner's entire internet history or have her read your entire internet history?
Definitely not mine. No. That would be quite embarrassing. Yeah. I would. I'd rather read my parents' one over my partner's.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Mate, I've got a time machine. You can have one go in it. Where do you go and why?
I'd like to go back to a couple of Bathursts where things probably would have panned out a bit different if we didn't have the whole saga of going slowly behind a safety car. That would be good.
Mm-hmm.
We might get another podium there.
Yep.
But if we want to rewind it right back, maybe, and it's quite an emotional Bathurst, I reckon it was Lowndes in 2006.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Finally, mate,
Passing Brocky.
if your life was a movie, what would the theme song be?
This one's a good one. I like this one.
Yeah.
I'm going with Highway to the Danger Zone.
Oh, jeez. Not bad at all.
Because my fuel light's already on, my tyres are bald, and I still think I can make it.
There's sparks coming off the rims. Hey, did you watch the GP last night? What do you reckon?
Look, I've watched highlights. I fell asleep.
Yeah.
I'm going to rewatch it tonight.
Yeah, you can probably shuffle through at 2 times speed, really, to be honest.
But what do you reckon here? We reckon there's a bit of conspiracy going on with Oscar and Lando.
Do you know?
Feels that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. To be honest with you, I thought Oscar was mugged by Lando, which he probably should.
It was quite rough, wasn't it?
Yeah. But if he had his time over again, I reckon he'd park that thing to the left and
That's
say,
right.
And I just think Oscar now just has to realise is that there's no favours anymore.
They're not friends?
No, they're not mates. There's this whole Papaya thing is Papaya rules. I mean, give me a spell. I mean, have you met many race drivers that say, listen, poor old mate had a slow stop. Can you pull over and let him through? That'd be the right thing to do. I mean, I can't imagine. I reckon there'd be...
Especially this business end of the year now.
Exactly.
And I think Oscar, too much trust in Lando at the start there where he sort of did leave a bit of a gap thinking, it's my teammate. He won't shove it down the inside.
Yep.
And Lando's just shoved it down the inside and done the dirty.
Well. Yeah.
So gloves are off now.
I reckon. Surely.
Hopefully Webber's in his ear and, that he can start to pull out some of that mongrel because they're not friends. They're going for a world championship, and
Exactly.
it's business ends. So here we go.
I reckon Webber would be looking at that tattoo on the inside of his wrist that says Moldy 21 and thinking, yeah, don't do that again, mate. All right, brother, you've got my number.
Very good.
Can you send me some dick pics over the weekend? Dick Johnson, obviously. Just send me some Dick Johnson pics if you can. That'd be awesome.
Okay, we can do that.
Brother, go well. I'll see you up there. Good luck in qualifying. I know that it's a bit of pressure, but I know you'll do the job. So, all right,
Thanks,
mate.
brother. I'll see you there.
All right, take it easy. And I'll try and leave your car alone this year. I won't put anything on it.
I'm not bringing that car this year, so you won't be able to tell which is mine.
Are you staying in the same place?
Can't confirm that
That's
either.
all I need to know. I'll just see you, mate. Talk to you.
See ya.
It's been a long race, a race that this car has led every lap of.
Well, thanks to Tony D for that chat. Handled it quite well, I thought, Aviel. But let's look at the biggest race of the year, of course. It starts on Sunday at 11:30. Not a fan, not going to lie. It's 161 laps. Cars are on track for the first time on Thursday at 1:20 p.m. Again, not a fan. The best qualifying session of the year is on Friday. It starts at 4:10 for 40 minutes. That's the one you want to see. It's a top 10 shootout on Saturday at 5 p.m. going into the news. The weather is a mixed bag. Maybe rain on Thursday and Sunday at this stage. The defending champs, of course, Brody Kostecki and Todd Hazelwood, or Erebus, depending on how you look at it. AVL, as a man on the ground, how does it feel to be up there? Does it feel like it's the event's kicked off up there?
We haven't really done any. We haven't really done into any in-town stuff yet to sort of get a sense of the vibe. It's Monday evening when we're recording this, so we'll be going in for dinner as soon as this is done, and we'll get a bit of a feel. That it's sort of like the teams can't bump in yet. So like the cricket oval in town is covered in supercars transporters at the moment. So that's always the kind of odd vibe really early in the week, but it does sort of, Tuesday it's already delivery reveals. Wednesday there's all the stuff with Travis Pastrana going on up at Mount Panorama. So like the week is going to gain momentum very, very quickly from today. If you're listening to this pod the day it comes out, from today onwards, things are going to go pretty quickly.
All right, let's make some predictions. What's your podium on Sunday afternoon? What's your 1, 2, 3?
I'm going to go. My winner is the 88, Brock Feeney and Amy Winker. Second is the 38, Brody Kostecki and Toddy Hazelwood. And third place is the number 1, Will Brown and Scotty Pye.
All right. So get on my trifecta if you want some value. I've got Matt Payne and Garth Tander winning. I've got Brown and Pye for second. And third is Ryan Wood and Jaden Ojeda.
Yeah, that would be a decent little trifecta.
What's your shootout poll winner? Who is it?
You can't go past Brock Feeney in qualifying spec this year. He's just so good.
But I did.
Yep.
I just did Cam Waters. Obviously this all depends, as Simon Chapman said in our Discord chat today, this all depends on parity. But I just
for sure.
Cam Waters. Who's your best roughie?
I'm going to go with Cooper Murray and Job Stewart, just based on the fact that they were so impressive at the Bend and the fact that the car they're in was so impressive at Bathurst last year. So, I think, like Cooper in the shootout, that would be a pretty cool thing to see.
My best roughie is Nick Percat and Tim Slade. I'm going back to the well.
Good pick. Good pick.
Steady set of hands for both of them. You just never know. Who's your first car gone on Sunday? And it
I don't know.
It doesn't have to be a Walling. It just can be.
No, I don't really. There's no real value in trying to pick that. I've got no idea.
I will. Kai Allen and Dale Wood. Safety cars. How many?
Do you have a reason for that?
No.
See, this is okay. Maybe this is interesting. Just gut feel.
Yep.
Right. Safety cars. I'm going to go with 3.
No, I got 2. Last year was 1, wasn't it?
Your race winner prediction was the only guy who crashed out of the race last year.
Mixed it up for everyone. Yep. All right, didn't help anyway. I'm going to give you, if this is the answer, what's the question? The answer's 3 different types. What's your question?
I must admit that I was in a bit of a rush getting out here today, and I haven't necessarily gone through the script as thoroughly as I normally do. But 3 different types. How many different animals will we see on track?
God damn it! I've got how many species of native wildlife will cause a red flag over the weekend?
There you go.
Who needs preparation? If this is the answer, what's the question? The answer is 3 laps. What's the question?
Oh, I got no idea. No.
What will be the most consecutive laps Super 2 drivers will get before a red flag in practice?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
What's your unlikely headline from the weekend?
I got nothing. Hit us with yours, Former.
Bryce Fullwood tells Brad Jones to get a dog up him after a dominant Bathurst win. Look, it's unlikely, but I'd like to see it.
Geez, it'd be good. What a beauty.
All right. With that, we've heard from the Ford runners, so let's hear from the GM side of the fence. This is a chat with Dave Reynolds before an announcement was made this morning, AVL. I believe that's what we were about to say.
Yes. By the time people are listening to this, we will know that Dave Reynolds is locked into Team 18 for next season. They have taken up his option, which we did expect would happen. But obviously you did this chat before that had been announced. So that's something worth keeping in mind for our listeners.
We had a 42-minute chat, 13 minutes made it to the show, so that'll give you a fair hint about what else was going on. It's a good chat, and he's in fine form, and I'm just going to have a sneaky bet on him maybe doing something on the weekend, AVL. So have a listen to this.
In 2017, there's a jackpot looming for David Reynolds. It's been an exquisite performance, a brilliant team effort, car-to-car combat, battling the weather, the risks, and another day of drama, and 1,000 kilometres later, David Reynolds, you are the man.
Well, as we head to Bathurst, I thought we'd get this next bloke on. He was devastatingly quick for just a little bit last year, and then all of a sudden, not so good. He drives the number 20 tradie Camaro. He can be found on all the socials at David Reynolds. He's driving the big purple people eater this weekend. Dave, as I speak to you, wait, where are you and what are you doing?
Wasn't that a song, The Purple People Eater?
It was a book. It was a kid's book.
But then they made it into a song, and I swear, I listened to that as a kid. I'm going to look it up after this.
All
Purple People Eater. I swear to God, it was a song.
If I can find it, I'll splice it into this
Play
interview.
it, please.
Yeah.
I'll try and find it. It'd be like one of those, kids entertainers. Not Rolf Harris, one of those other dudes. Someone without a history.
One big eye, like a Mr. Shaking in the city. It looks like a purple people eater to me. It was a one-eyed, one-horn flying purple people eater.
I'll start this interview off like I start every other interview. Dave, did man really walk on the moon in the 60s?
Questionable. Let's not get into that rabbit hole just yet. But
let's talk about Charlie Kirk instead. Who shot Charlie Kirk? No, we'll do that later on.
Yeah. I'll tell you something off there as well that you'll laugh at.
All right.
You have to ask me about it, because then I'll just go on a rampage.
Well, the last time you told me something off air was about Helmut Marko, and I had to sit down for about half an hour after it.
And that was all true.
Mate, this time last year... yeah, let's not go into that, Jesus. This time last year, you were pretty rapid around the mountain before it bit back on you, and you had to drive in the world's most boring race in a car being held together by sticky tape and paddle pop sticks. In that situation, being Dave Reynolds, do you ever start wondering about other stuff as you're just driving around the mountain?
Oh, not really. You're so competitive and so hell bent on being fast, and but I was quick up until I shunted, and then the car was, like you said, it was a bit of a write-off. So, and it was I literally drove around last place, struggling to hang on to second last. It was pretty bad. So
it was.
Yeah, I got terrible memories of that weekend. So we won't be repeating that this weekend at all.
When you go to Bathurst and you've got a car that you've been pretty quick in, and you've won one, and you probably could have won two others. Is it from the outset when you get the car off the truck that you think this thing's a weapon, or is it not always the case?
Not always the case. So in 17, we were sort of not middle of the road, sort of just in the 10, I reckon. And then Al McBean did one reasonably large change to the rear of the car in one of Luke's practice sessions in 17, and then it literally transformed the car, and we went from a 10-inch car to a P1, P2 car. So that's the biggest change was. But then in 18, we rolled the car out, and it rained all practice, actually pissed down all practice.
Right.
We knew the rest of the weekend was going to be dry, so we actually didn't do any running in practice. The first dry lap I did was in qualifying, my first lap in qualifying, and I was a second clear of the field. It was my car was an absolute jet, because I knew it was going to be fast, because we had a fast car in 17. we basically had the same setup, but with the ZB aero package updated. So I knew like it should have been a take-home win for us.
With these new cars, is there enough to muck around with that you can sort of make those changes like you did in 17 and turn it into a jet?
Oh, absolutely. But the gain is not as large. So you're not looking for. Sometimes you actually are looking for 8 tenths of a second, but most of the time you're looking for like 2 or 3 or 4 tenths of a second, 5 tenths of a second, and a big change will give you that time around that track. So, but yeah, it's still everything's still changeable. Like you still got so many variables within the car and so many different combinations you can run with your spring, roll center, roll bars, and ride heights and group restriction and all this sort of stuff. And camber and tow, are a big player as well these days. So, everything's still. It's definitely there to make or break your weekend.
Mate, how's life been with Lee Holdsworth as a co-driver? He's the world's nicest bloke.
Oh, he's the best dude in the world. That's, you just never have a bad experience anytime you're with him, whether you're hanging at the track or outside the track. It's always a fun, just awesome experience. So I can't wait to, spend the weekend with him again.
Mate, he's a real estate agent these days. Have you noticed any money missing out of your wallet at any stage during the time you've been with him?
No, that's probably why he's probably not doing as good as he should. He's an honest real estate agent.
he's the one.
Too much of a nice bloke. There is one. There's always one.
Now, before we go into some hairy questions, can we confirm you're locked in at Team 18 for 2026?
It's like still working away at it.
Okay. Let's go into the hairy questions. I reckon number one is going to be the same answer that I'm going to give. If you had $2,000, how would you double it in 24 hours?
How would I double it?
Yep.
Far out. I'd either go straight to the casino and put it on red or black, like pretty standard.
Yep.
Or if I had a bit of time and like now, so I'd probably buy something off like Marketplace and then try and like swap people. Because I was watching this thing the other day. This dude started with like a paperclip, and then like 34 or 40 trades later, he ended up trading it for a car.
That's amazing.
Have you seen that?
No, but if it was a paperclip for a Chimera, he's probably gone out backwards anyway.
But he just sort of upsold like bits and pieces and traded his way up to trading whatever he got second last for a car. So, and then you could go sell the car and make more than get $4,000.
You want to be able to do it pretty rapidly in 24 hours, but I get the gist. Which supercar driver is most likely to click like on his own Instagram post?
Which supercar driver is most likely to click like? Oh, I don't know. I actually don't know this one. Who do you think?
Oh, I reckon James Courtney would be a special. Absolute special.
Courtney?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, maybe. Or Golding, maybe.
DJ Golding.
Anyone that starts the name with James.
Well, that's good because the next one's about 3 J's. There's 3 Jordans from Australian motor racing, and they're going to start a boy band. Jordan Love, Jordan Boys, and Jordan Cox. What would the band's name be?
It's got to be Loves Cox and Boys. Or Love Boys Cox.
I had it as the Rolf Harris tribute show, but anyway. Let me tell you.
You had to put that in there, didn't you? You just had to.
I've got some other variations about Brown and Wood as well, but we'll do that another time.
Honestly, Cox and Boys. Love Cox and Boys. Imagine if they ever raced each other and they were on the totem pole together.
Oh, it'd be the best if they were in the 12-hour. Love Boys Cox. Yeah. That'd be just amazing.
You wouldn't even need their first name.
Would you right now cut your thumb off for another Bathurst 1000 win?
So maybe, essentially yes, but when I was in year 7, we went through the work cover, the dollar amount for each finger, and I think a sum was $64,000 or something if you lost it at work.
Yeah, it's the big dollar one, isn't it? It's the big dollar.
It's the biggest one on your hand. Yeah. So, when you win Bathurst, you don't get that much money. But you know what I mean? $64,000 or a Bathurst win. I don't know. I'd still the racer at me would still love another Bathurst win. So yeah, of course I'm going to lop it off, but probably rather the work cover money to be fair.
And we could double at the casino.
Yeah, exactly. Or my trade options.
If you wake up to see on the front page of the paper that a supercar driver has been arrested, who is it and why were they arrested?
It would have to be Will Brown, and it would be like something to do with money, like tax evasion or laundering something. 100%.
I thought you were going to say landing on Mountain Straight and doing a 3-point turn on his plane or something.
Yeah. Or he's like, maybe he's in trouble with cancer or something. Definitely, like, it's got to be Will Brown.
Would you want to know the time and date you're going to die?
Would I want to know the time and date? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I imagine if you knew you were going to die at 100 or you could die next week, like you'd live your life accordingly to when you're going to die, wouldn't you?
Imagine the last week. Jesus.
Well, then, like, think about it. Imagine if you were going to die next week, like, you wouldn't go save all your money, would you? You'd be like just having a wild old time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you wouldn't be trying to turn a paperclip into a car. I'll give you the white hot tip.
No, 100%.
If you're working in the adult film industry, what would your stage name be?
Okay. So it goes off your pet name and your street.
Yeah.
So mine would be, I had a cat named Jerry, and I used to live in Maid Street, so it'd be Jerry Maid.
Yeah.
Not a bad one, eh?
It's all right. It's all right. Mine was Spotty.
What would yours be?
Spotty Long.
Spotty Long.
Which is an absolute lie, except for the spots. Would you would you rather read your partner's? Would you rather read Tahan's entire internet history, or would you rather her read your entire internet history?
Oh, either one's probably going to be crippling to your relationship. Can I choose neither?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I don't want to read anyone's history.
Oh, I've got a great story about that, I'll tell you.
I don't want to know.
I've got a time machine, and you can have one go in it. Where do you go and why?
Oh, man, good question. Man, there's a million places I'd love to go back in time.
See,
man,
I'd go forward.
Yeah, would you?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we'd make
the way we're going with society, there's no future. Why?
Oh, yeah, that's a conversation for another day, but it's hard to argue at the moment. Yeah.
Man, I don't know. There's a few places I'd go. I'd love to go to, like, obviously the 80s, because I love the 80s. Even though I was born in the 80s, I don't really remember much. I'd love to go to, like, the 70s, probably when, like, all the bands are really big and everything like that. Maybe in the 60s when they supposedly went to the moon, inverted commas. Or even, like, as far as, the pyramids, to see who actually built them.
Yeah.
And what it actually looked like back in the day. Like, that'd be sick.
Yeah. Finally, mate, if your life was a movie, what would be the theme song?
If my life was a movie,
yeah.
Oh, man, I had a theme song. Oh, no, probably Journey, Believing. Don't Stop Believing. I love that track. I do love it.
You couldn't love that track. You told me you want to go back to the 60s to see good music, and then that's your song for your movie.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going.
Well, what? It's a great song.
I thought you might have said Kelly, I Believe I Can Fly, or something like that.
No, or Go West, Wishful Thinking.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, good song.
That's a good song.
I don't need to fall at your feet just 'cause you cut me to the bone. And I won't miss the way that you kiss me. We were never carved in stone.
Mate, there's really good songs out there.
Mate, when do you rock into Bathurst? When do you get into town?
So I turn up there on Tuesday.
You're yeah. So I told Tony D'Alberto that I would not touch his car this year, so I'm going to have to find out where you're living so I can touch your car.
You come touch my car anytime.
I wasn't mentally there. I was just lost.
Full credit to the noise.
Winter could spell bad news for your vehicle's battery. Here are 3 maintenance tips from the battery gurus at R&J Batteries. 1. Avoid frequent short trips to keep your battery at a healthy state of charge. 2. Keep the battery terminals clean and corrosion-free. 3. Avoid running your accessories with the engine off for too long. If your battery is 3 years or older, it might be time to get it tested for free at your local R&J Batteries. R&J Batteries, power like nothing else.
Welcome back to Rear of Grid. Before we do credit or shred, it's AVL. I've never been more busy than I have been in the last sort of week with this Discord happening, and it feels like I'm wearing many caps right now.
It's fun, though.
All right. It's good.
Yeah, it's great fun. The Discord's really good fun to sort of get in there and have a chat, and we can sort of drop a few little news hints and bits and pieces that you wouldn't necessarily broadcast to the wider world until they came to fruition. So there's a few tasty little pearls of knowledge in there. So yeah, anyone that wants to sign up, get on board. Full credit to the noise. It's fun. It's a fun community to be part of.
I also chucked in an outtake from today's interview with, I don't know whether you heard it.
Yes, you did. I've been in public places most of the day, so I haven't quite.
We might put it at the back of this show as an Easter egg. It's not too bad, but not one of my finest moments. Not going to lie. All right, let's do some credit or shred it. I'm going to make a statement. You just tell me credit or shred it. Number 1, Oscar Piastri will not see out his contract at McLaren.
Shred it.
Shred it with a caveat. The MotoGP title was wrapped up with 5 rounds to go. Promoters of the MotoGP would kill for a final series right now.
Credit.
Credit. In motorsport, if you qualify outside of the top 10 and then you get pinged for an illegal car like Williams did, you don't understand how to cheat.
Yeah, credit. You're not very good at it anyway.
In the world of motorsport, those with the biggest testicles race at the Isle of Man, I should say.
Credit.
Credit. To maximise media coverage and public interest, the Supercars calendar should be from August to March to avoid the 2 footy codes.
I'll say credit on the idea, but I've got something for that.
Credit. Number 6, an 11:30 start for the Bathurst 1000 is too late. It should kick off an hour earlier at the least.
I'll say shred it.
I'll say credit. All right, let's go back. Piastri will not see out his contract at McLaren.
I don't think any of these. I don't think any of these things. Like at the end of the day, a racing driver, particularly one as kind of focused and sensible as Oscar, will just want to be in the fastest car. So all of the politics aside, and remember, there is still like the absolute likeliest outcome from this season is that he is the world champion. Still, right now, just even after what happened in Singapore. So. I don't know that there's any sort of inherent danger in him wanting to leave the team or anything, but I think the team does have to get on top of this absolute nonsense of Papaya rules.
Yeah. As people were saying in a lot of comments over the weekend, go to Ferrari. I'm thinking, no, don't do that. I wouldn't do that. That's not worked out for lots and lots of people.
I think if strategic incompetence is, if you find it a bit hard to stubby at McLaren from time to time, I'm not sure the Ferrari move is the absolute right one. But you also got to remember that like Lando's probably a pretty good teammate to have, just because he does make mistakes and that sort of stuff. Like I think for someone like Oscar, who is maybe not like the absolute like sort of balls to the wall fastest driver in the world, but his strengths are, building these seasons, being good enough to get it done when everything, is there to get it done with. Like having someone who's potentially a half a tenth quicker on his absolute best day, but that just constantly makes mistakes under pressure, like Lando. What a great teammate to have. And that's why he's probably going to win the championship.
I hope you're right. The MotoGP title's wrapped up. 5. Would they kill for a wildcard series?
Well, they'd kill just have Marc Marquez in the field, I reckon. It's a good start.
Yeah, that's a double loss, isn't it? Not only is the title wrapped up, old mate's going
the
on
bloke who won
holiday.
it. The bloke who won it's not even there. That is
Tough sell.
That is a terror.
Motorsport, if you qualify aside, if you cheat and then still don't any good, you don't get it.
Yeah, that's true.
in the world of motorsport, oh, mate, Isle of Man, I only put that in because a bunch of stuff just come up in my feed on Instagram, and that is, I know it's not new or anything, but that is balls to the wall sort of stuff.
Anything on two wheels, I reckon, is absolutely insane. Like, it's even when you watch, and particularly like that, like, you know, you look at MotoGP, you look at that shunt, you know, with Bezzecchi and Marquez, like, you just think it was like nothing, but it's a huge shunt, and there's a guy with a busted wing out of it, you know, like, it's just, it all, they're nuts. And then you take that, when you take that road racing, like, I've watched them at Macau, those road racing guys, and that's absolutely
insane
wild
as well.
because it's like, and I've seen it go pear-shaped as well.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just a thing that happens. So it's wild.
There's something about a dude coming off a bike that just turns the guts, not like when a car crashes. It feels different.
Yeah.
Media coverage and public interest. Avoid August to March Supercar Series.
I just don't like the idea of a summer series, and I don't really know why. I don't have any sort of like, it just doesn't do it for me.
The heat, for one, might be a drama.
Yeah. I don't know. It just doesn't. Maybe I just don't want to. Maybe I just don't want to work over Christmas. My birthday's Christmas Eve. I don't want to be working over Christmas. It's my time off.
Is that why they call you Jesus?
Yeah.
I like it. I think marketing wise, I get it. I think you'd have to have a lot of night races to make it work. That's my gut feel on that. Yeah, and finally the 11:30 start. I don't.
Yeah,
like
what's your beef with this? I don't know. I don't know that I really care when the Bathurst 1000 starts. To be, I think a bit of build up time. Like, I enjoy the build up. And I'll tell you what, when you're working the event, that 11:30 comes around pretty fast anyway. But like, what's your beef?
It just doesn't feel right. I remember back in the day when they used to start at like 10 when it was Group A, and it just felt like a race. I don't know. 11:30 just seems a little bit late. But anyway, that's just me. I'm sure there's everyone saying the exact opposite. We'll go to our letter of the week, and it comes from Kieran Kariski on Instagram. He said, with Super 2 looking to move to the Gen 3 platform, will the main game be moving to something different to differentiate from Super 2? If not, will it be the first time main game has used the same vehicles as Super 2? Also, will this create a level of controversy if Super 2 drivers are outperforming main game drivers in lap times in the same machinery?
No, there's been plenty of cases of having the same cars between the main game and Super 2, so that's not really a huge issue there. In terms of the performance thing, I mean, at the end of the day, like, Gen 2 cars are actually faster than Gen 3 cars, so at the moment we have a performance disparity. It kind of gets offset by them running on the hard tyres. In Super 2, you have effect the drivers aren't as good, right? Like, the teams aren't as good and the drivers aren't as good, so they're kind of that disparity is offset by factors like that. But it's actually a bigger issue right now in terms of the fact that you have the faster cars are the second tier. It'd be like if F2 cars were faster than F1 cars.
Yeah.
So the complication with all of this in terms of Gen 3 is none of these points here, but it's just how are they going to integrate Gen 3 into Super 2 unless they can do a full clean-out house and just have a full field of Gen 3 cars, then they've kind of you're going to run into that tricky situation where you'll notice that a Gen 2 car is much faster than Gen 3 car is if they're racing each other. So I don't know how they avoid that, but is there enough Gen 3 cars and teams willing to invest in the Gen 3 cars and all the other bits and pieces that go with running these cars, because they're obviously very different from the Gen 2 cars, to be able to put a full Super 2 field together. So it's a very complicated scenario that Supercars has to deal with there, and I don't know what the answer is, but it's a complicated situation.
I think it could work in the positive. In fact, if you find out some Super 2 driver is somehow freakishly fast and would be in the top 2 or 3 on the grid in the main game, then surely that's a great sign that he should come up. And so compared to them being in an old car where you can say, oh, yeah, but they're faster or whatever, if they're in the same gear, then great, bring them up. You know, it
also gives teams the opportunity to do wild cards and that sort of stuff as well.
That's the other thing I thought.
To have a massive investment in cars, which we have seen in the past. You know, in your sort of 2017-ish. What year did the Kostecki's? What year did the Kostecki's do their thing, Stefan? I'm going to the bench here. Yeah.
2017.
So around that time where you could just take your Super 2 program and turn it into a main game program for a wildcard.
Yep.
So that's another bonus for when they're on the same page. But yeah, there's this debate going on about do they bring Gen 3 in 2027 or 2028, and it's a really complicated scenario just because of the fact that we have cars that are effectively slower than the Gen 2 cars and Gen 3 cars. So yeah, it's interesting.
All right, that'll about do us for this episode of Full Crew of the Noise. Don't forget, you can find the show on all the socials at FCTTN Podcast. You can read AVL's excellent work at speedcafe.com, where they break all the big motorsport news first. Until next time, I've been former legend. He's been AVL. This has been Full Crew of the Noise. I'll see you at the top, and AVL will see you behind glass. See you then.
Bye.
Full credit to the noise.
Hello?
What are you doing, Shags?
You've got the wrong number. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. No worries. Sorry.
Bye.